Hey guys, welcome back here. We're finally getting around to this thing, the Leatherface, ranking the faces of Leatherface. As we know, he's had quite a bit of looks here. I've counted 18 over here because he's had different ones throughout the movies and everything. And this has been a fun series. I know it's just kind of been on hold for a little while. I kind of forgot about it for a little bit, and then would remember it, then not end up doing it. Because normally these are the videos that follow up the ranking the franchises. So we did Freddy, Jason, the Cenobites. We did the Cenobites again after the new Hellraiser came out. And if you caught that last Megadeth album review, you would have seen that I talked about the Saw franchise being the next franchise we're going through. And I'm just about wrapped up with all my rewatches of those movies. I'm just got to rewatch the last two. And we'll be up to date with that. So, and also stay tuned. We're going to be reviewing Dystopia from Megadeth this week. So, with all that being said, though, let's hop on into this thing. And I'll mention too, I'm at a different spot here than normal. Just doing it from the computer this time. It's always kind of a hassle to transfer the video file so large, usually on my phone, to the computer. It's a bit of a deal. So we're just going to do it anytime we do one of these, where I'm going to have to edit and put some pictures in, on these sides here of what I'm talking about. We're just going to do it that way. So, just saves me some frustration for sure. But let's talk about number 18. And, I've got my little PowerPoint here pulled up. And if you've seen me rank the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, mouthful there, how much I hate this movie. The movie Leatherface. Come on. I mean, this is Mr. Handsome over here. Not even, and let's just get real here. We all know Leatherface is deformed and mentally retarded. And that's just the way it is. And when this guy's not that, I've got an issue. I like my Leatherface as a crazy brute, just going around out of his mind. I love that. I don't need this handsome Jack guy, going around and the girl loves him. And, I've shit on that movie enough. But, it's just some regular, well, not just some regular, it's a damn scrawny guy. How am I supposed to believe he's going to whoop anybody's ass? Let's get real here. And then he gets shot in the jaw, then all of a sudden he's retarded. Explain that one to me. Because that is just insane to me. And not only that, when he puts all them belt buckles and stuff, come on, dude, it doesn't look good. It looks terrible. He's not scary. He looks like a joke. So, yeah, that's my number 18. You guys have seen me talk about that thing before. It ain't good. Then we're going with the number 17 here, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, which, as I've said, I'm weird. I like that movie. Matthew McConaughey's hilarious in that movie. Love it. It's not Leatherface is not the key here. He's not in any good parts for that matter. But the family on the other side is. But this look, it's not only, and I've got some of these labeled because as I said, there's different, looks to them, but it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation Pretty Lady version. I mean, when Leatherface is just whining, like in this squeal sound and stuff, which I know we ain't ranking his sounds here, but come on, that factors in. And, the skin just looks fake. It looks like, it almost looks like paper mache or something. And then he's got the boobs on, that go over. It's like that was just not necessary. And he's not scary. He's a joke, it's terrible. And it would be the worst if it weren't for the other, for that Leatherface one, just completely abandoning what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series is and what Leatherface is. So, that's the only reason this one sneaks up in here. Besides that, it's rough. And I know most people have a problem with him. And, we're going to jump right into 17 here with another mask from that same movie with the old lady mask. Another paper mache looking, the grandma mask in the original is freaky as all get out. But this one just looks weird. It kind of makes you laugh a little bit. That movie's borderline dark comedy. If you really look at it. So... but he looks terrible in this as well. They just, the look of the mask, and I'm not asking for some hyper realism here or anything. I know it was 1995 when that movie came out, but this thing just, it just looks awful. The hair, Looks like a an old dog or something. I'm looking at the picture right now, and it's weird. Don't like it at all. Don't like the portrayal of Leatherface either. So, see, 18, 17. Or hold up here. I may have got the numbers off just by this PowerPoint here. Let's see. 18 was Leatherface. 17. Then 16 is what we just talked about. 15. This might kind of be controversial. I don't know. We're going to be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. But pause. Don't. It's not the normal one, right? It's the Kemper mask. That character Kemper who. And I'll say this. It's a freaky moment. Where he skins that dude's face and just puts it on and. He looks up from in the headlights of that van, and he sees the girlfriend sees the face. It's pretty freaky, but when you just really look at it, it's kind of funny looking. I'm glad it was strictly for that scene, and he didn't even stitch this thing on either. At least I don't think he just kind of threw it on there. Which he's done that later, and we'll see where that ranks. And it did it to a better degree by a lot, really. But the Kemper mask, it served its purpose in that scene. It's still freaky looking, but it's just kind of silly looking at the same time. And I'm glad it had very little screen time. Thankfully, they didn't just keep that thing on him, right? So then, we're going to go with number 15 here. With the Leatherface movie, which is near the end credits or something like this. It's the nurse mask. That nurse who falls in love with him and everything. And, this gets probably the least screen time out of any of these, right? But my gosh, it's pretty freaky looking. Even though he was like this skinny guy and everything, the way it shows him put that nurse's face on the skin and just, it shows him sewing that stuff on, it just looks freaky. And I think a lot of that had to do with the lighting here as well of the shot. Very freaky stuff. So I think maybe if they would have let Leatherface bulk up and act how he's supposed to and wear that mask and maybe get it more damaged and stuff, if they ever were going to do a sequel, I don't know. Maybe something could have worked out. But, again, that thing had very little screen time. The least screen time out of any of these. But it was freaky looking. I'll give it that. And you could arguably, put up the Kemper mask in front of that because it was a better moment. But, that was like one of the highlights of that movie for me, the Leatherface movie, is just really seeing something kind of creepy going on. So, that movie's more of a Devil's Rejects ripoff type thing. So, let's see here. We got 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. So, 16, 15, 14. That was number 14. See, I'm getting the numbers all scrambled because the number on the side of the slideshow does not, because I have a title slide as well. Probably shouldn't have done that, but we're going to keep moving along here with number 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. We're going to number 13. We're going to the final entry of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation. Just kind of the standard mask. It looks like a rubber boot. It's really weird looking, moldy looking. It's not very scary. It doesn't look real at all. And it's a joke, and you got to factor in the portrayal of Leatherface in that movie as well. It's not a good thing. And this is the best mask they had going, but it ain't good. That tells you right there. Although I would be cool if NECA or somebody made a figure or custom figure of it, I'd buy it up because I even buy the shitty looks just to have them, right? Because I'll be buying that H2O Michael, and we know I'm not a fan of that. So, but let's see here. We will go on to the next one with number 13, and that is the depiction of the Pretty Lady mask in Texas Chainsaw 3D, or just Texas Chainsaw, the 2013 movie, and it's freaky looking. This one didn't get a lot of screen time. It was kind of in that, prologue showing off some of the events in this timeline that happened during the original Texas Chainsaw, just, their interpretation. And it's freaky looking, but at the same time, he's kind of got a little bit of a Mr. Potato Head kind of look to him. If you'll see the picture here and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's got a real weird shaped head. And I know that movie's got its problems as well, but it's a fun one. And I think, it's still freaky enough. And it looks like something he just threw together. It looks real enough. Which really, when you look at like I think it's the main menu or the back of the DVD case, it shows all the different masks and stuff he's worn through a lot of, that's pretty cool that they did that. But, how many of them actually appeared in that movie? I mean, they weren't even in the same timeline. But, we got this Pretty Lady iteration, which was cool to see kind of remade in a way, as it's one of his most iconic looks. So I was cool with that one. Didn't bother me. Didn't really bother me. It just didn't have a lot of screen time, and it kind of looked a little goofy, but it was still pretty freaky looking. So we're going to go on with number 12 here with, and this one could be considered controversial because it's one of them from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we know is my favorite one. We're talking about the grandma mask, the old lady mask, whatever you want to call it. And hey, this one doesn't get a lot of screen time. It's kind of why it's down here. But it serves its purpose perfectly. He's in there cooking in the kitchen. The dad's over here whipping him with a spoon, and he's being weird, making some weird noises and stuff. So it serves its purpose, and it's creepy. It really is creepy. And it's just, that's not, when I think Leatherface, that's not what I want him to be, and he's not ever that full time, thankfully. But, it's a solid look. It does the old lady look at the best, so I think it gets points for that, and it does a good job of that. Serves its purpose, but it's just not my favorite look. There's just some cooler looks that happen here. This next one here, number 11, and this might surprise you because these next two entries are 11 and 10 are so similar. But there are two masks in the Texas Chainsaw 3D besides the Pretty Lady mask, the two current masks. This one is the officer mask after he, kills that police officer. And one of the better scenes in the movie, just beats the hell out of him with that, meat hammer or whatever, that cleaver, or a mallet. And he beats the hell out of him, and, it ends up cutting to him, skinning his face and all that. And, and part of me wonders, though, was that really that guy's face or was it somebody else's? Because that skin would have been way too fresh. He just killed him. And this thing's looking a little, baked potato kind of looking. And it's like, why has this movie got some potato problems? We got Mr. Potato Head. Now we got this going on. I mean, but, it's a solid look. I think it's decent enough. It's old looking, which is the way Leatherface looks in that, and, you see this is number 11 out of the 18, so it's not high up, but I think it's decent enough. It's a really cool shot when he puts it on. But we'll hop right on to number 10, which is the mask he's wearing for the majority of the movie, which is a little more patchy looking. Reminds me a little bit for the Tom Savini designed Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 mask. And I mean, it's nowhere near as good as that, right? But just kind of the way some of the skin is patched on there, and you can tell it's probably different people's skin that he's kind of combined all into one, kind of like that mask. So that's a cool aspect of it. It's freaky. It's got some cool shots and everything. But it's not one of his best looks, especially this is one of his worst just main looks throughout a movie. And speaking of the devil here at entry number 9, we're talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the Tom Savini designed mask. And, it's you either love this movie or hate it. I'm one of the haters of it, as you guys saw back when I did the ranking of these. Do not like it at all. It has some cool scenes in it. I like Chop Top as kind of a goofy character, but I just don't. It's a little too over the top for me. And I'm all into some horror comedy stuff, but hey, we're not ranking the movies here. We're ranking the looks. And this look is pretty badass. I do like the different patches of skin he's got on it. I need to pick up a figure of this one, which I know NECA's not done an ultimate of. Hopefully they do, but the retro cloth looks good. And they did a really good job at I think Tom Savini did a really good job at just the different, making each of those pieces. It almost looks like Jigsaw from Marvel, the Punisher villain, where he's got just the different segments, of his skin on there. One of them's got a beard. One of them looks like a younger person. One of them's kind of, old. Just a really cool look. And looking on, I mean, it's damn near close to being ranked a little bit higher. But we're getting into some pretty solid looks here. I don't really have anything bad to say about this look. More so just the movie. I just happen to prefer some of these other ones. Which number 8, we're talking about Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. And that look, man, it's just freaky as hell looking. It looks rotted and nasty. And I like how the prologue to the movie shows him killing the girl who had that rose face tattoo. It shows him killing her. And then, we're just in his first appearance throughout the main plot of the movie, in the main section, you see him and you're like, oh, you see that tattoo? That's the character he killed. And it just kind of adds an extra disturbing layer to that look, into the feel of that movie. Was just like, dang. Which that movie's got a lot of disturbing stuff going on in general with him having a kid. It's like him playing with them baby toys and stuff. I mean, it's kind of freaky. But I think he looks, the teeth on this guy too, it's just, they're gnarly looking. I mean, they're just rotten out of his face. And I think this is a pretty sick looking Leatherface. I think it's a really underrated look because sure it is. I think maybe for a lot of people, it's just, they think it might be overdone, the rotting nature of it. But it just says, hey, he ain't changed it, and it's blood stained, it's soaked, it's nasty. And you get a lot of good expressions from Leatherface in this film with that mask. Number 7, this is actually my girlfriend's favorite look of him. It's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. The mask, more of like the Mankind looking mask from WWF. That brown, which this wasn't human skin, at least we don't think it was, right? But it's more of just a leather, strap around his face. And man, he looks menacing in it. You do get some good, menacing looks from him. I totally get why that's her favorite. She said she just loves how you can see his eyes and how, crazy that dude looks who played Leatherface in the remake and that prequel to the remake. And I think it is a hell of a design. Very brooding. The dark colors. And it just shows you Leatherface can be scary without even wearing someone's face. He's just wearing a bottom half of like a leather mask stretched across his face, but you see the eyes, you see the hair hanging down his face, and that's why it's my girlfriend's favorite. So I totally get that. But and she's just a big fan of that movie. Me personally, yeah, it gets down here at number 7, but it's an awesome look, no doubt about it. Then we get at number 6, which this one has just only grown on me more and more over the years. It's kind of crazy to say years because this one's 2022 when it came out, the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I kind of alluded to it earlier, talking about how the Kemper mask from the Texas Chainsaw remake, it didn't look like it was sewn on. Maybe it was very little. And I said it didn't do it too well. It kind of just drooped over look. This did, absolutely. This 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre look it's disgusting. The scene where it happens, he peels off this, caretaker's face with a knife, and he holds it up out in the sun in a field, and he just droops that shit over his face like a damn, fruit roll up. It just flaps that thing on there, and it's just disgusting, and it gets bloody and dirty all throughout. And I love just kind of the droopy mouth on it, and just it's black. You can barely see his eyes, and it really reminds me of, ever since I saw the trailer for that movie back in 2022 or 21, whenever that happened, the trailer came out and we got to see that look. It's always reminded me of in Dead by Daylight, the clown who had kind of that droopy mouth, and it's always reminded me of that, which is a good thing for me because I think that's dude's pretty creepy looking. But this Leatherface look's only grown on me as the years have gone. I mean, you even get to see Leatherface without his mask in this one for a little while, until he does, go ape shit and flip the ambulance and, wear his caregiver's face after she dies. So incredible look. I've got 2 custom figures of it now that are pretty sick, and I'm going to be painting a custom bloody variation of it. So maybe I'll have that up by the time I do the horror figure update. Then we've got number 5, and this one used to be my favorite, believe it or not. It is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre beginning, the skinned mask, or the first mask, the first ever mask he skins, face he skins that he wears. That is freaky as all get out looking. I mean, come on. Just the first off, the gruesome nature of it when he's, grabbing the dude's face and it shows it go down, and when he sews that thing on, there's just cut marks all over the face, and you see where he's sewn it on. You can barely see his eyes, but a little bit, some shots you can. And even like what really is freaky looking to me is like on the unrated cover, which I have the DVD of, just the way he's looking down and like you just barely see the eyes or the mouth. It almost looks like a Chelsea grin, um, or like a Cheshire grin of it just very creepy looking. That mask has always freaked me out and used to scare the hell out of me when I was a kid and would see the case of that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this guy, and it, like I said, it used to be my favorite look, and that used to be my favorite movie, in fact, of the franchise. But love this look. I think that does the fresh cut skin, best out of any of them. And looky here, I've been having the numbers all wrong because now we're on number 4, 3, 2. This should really be number 3. So just disregard these numbers that I'm saying. You see the picture that's coming up. But this is number 3. This one also used to be my favorite. We're talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And this thing just looks decayed. And it also kind of has that rotten look. Maybe not so overdone as maybe the Leatherface 3 would be, or some might say would be. I've heard it compared to kind of like a Frankenstein kind of look to it, which I think is great. It looks real. It looks like, if someone had that dead flesh stuck to their face for a long time. It's rotting, and it's grayish looking. And he also still kind of has that slit in the mouth on, almost looking like a demented clown in some shots, like in the butcher shop and everything. And just, again, the darkness behind the eyes. If you guys see my Michael ranking video, you guys know I like them eyes blacked out on a lot of these characters. And this is the case with that. You might see them a little bit here and there, but most of the time you're seeing some blacked out eyes and that mouth where that slit is. It's real blackened and everything. And it's just, and talk about the portrayal of this guy too. The size, the biggest, physically most intimidating Leatherface, period. And I don't, that would be hard to argue. That is a big son of a bitch. And man, he's fast, such an awesome portrayal. But then we get into the top 2, and if you're playing Process of Elimination, they're both from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one, number 2, is the Pretty Lady mask, and I just love this one. Talk about terrifying. This one might be scarier than the original, or than like his standard look, the butcher mask, whatever you want to call it, from this original movie. That dinner table scene is just disturbing. Almost feels like you're watching a snuff film when you're watching this movie still to this day. And just the way, one of the creepiest shots is when he, the camera's there on Sally, like, doing almost like a first person thing. And he, wearing this Pretty Lady mask, gets right up in it, just tries to shove food in her mouth. And oh my gosh, that is just some freaky shit. Talk about a demented clown. That's what he's looking like here, with the makeup just so slung and smeared on and wearing a suit. And, we all love the iconic scene of him running down and swinging the chainsaw, after he runs down the driveway, gets dust and dirt all over it. And it's just such an iconic look, and is arguably his most iconic look between these two. And I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, damn, that Pretty Lady Leatherface is a freak, and it's definitely up there. It's my number 2, and this could flip on me tomorrow just talking about it. I don't know. But number 1, as I just said pretty much and just revealed, is the Butcher mask, or the original mask of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And man, from the first reveal of this guy, where, the slide door opens, you see the camera pointing upward at him, and you just see, dead flesh peeling off, pretty much blackened eyes out, from that angle. Just them big rotten buck teeth hanging out, and just a hammer to the head, and the dude starts seizing and stuff. Just wow, that is one of the most disturbing scenes in movies even to this day, and it does it so minimally because this movie really doesn't have a lot of. It doesn't. It's gory, but as we all know, that movie's not as gory as like some of the later ones would be, but it didn't need it. It's got its brutal kills, jamming that chainsaw right through Franklin's chest while he's sitting in a wheelchair, So it's got its stuff, but and of course the hammer kill, which I described. But this Leatherface is a scary, scary guy. This one to me, looks like probably the most real looking one. If we're getting down to it, I mean, the skin kind of gets like it looks like a dead skin, that you like you peel off a sunburn or something, right? And just like paper like and just kind of, stiff, and it just looks disgusting and it's terrifying. And wearing that butcher apron, with blood covered all over it, and just him just going after people, and you know, like I forget the name of this character, but that chick who runs out the door and he busts out the door and grabs her with his brutish strength and bare hands and pulls her back in with that mask just showing. Amazing shot. Just one of my favorite movies of all time. Which just talking about it, I want to watch it again soon. But that is my favorite Leatherface look. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry about the numbers. I got them all twisted. I was just going on a roll, and this damn PowerPoint here was messing with me. I just couldn't keep up with what was going on over here. But, it is what it is. You guys see where they all lie. I would love to hear your guys' rankings of these. I know we had some cool conversations about some of these Cenobites back when I did that. The Freddy Krueger, the Michael, the Jason, all that stuff. Very, very fun stuff. So I always love to see your guys' takes on this thing. So if we could spark up some conversation down there, would love to see it. So, and like I said, guys, stay tuned. We're going to be reviewing that Saw series. With that, I've kind of debated, I'm thinking, because there's not really a lot of different looks to Saw. There's just a lot of different Jigsaw killers. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do when we get down to that, is rank the Jigsaw killers, because there's been quite a few, and I'll probably throw in the Spiral killer as well, as just to throw them in there to give that movie a representation on the list. So yeah, we got some cool stuff like that coming up. Again, we've got Megadeth Dystopia getting reviewed later this week, so stay tuned for all that. Like, subscribe, comment, and let's get some conversation going down there in the comments. Thanks.